Hi, my little discreet kiddos. Thought I'd make a video for you guys. We're going to look at these videos on your phone before you take the quiz today, so that way hopefully they will help refresh things as you move forward. We're going to take a look at adjusted winner, sealed bids, and then after we do, I'll make a video for NASTR, and we'll look at NASTR today, just as a little ending day for Friday. But let's start with adjusted winner. So when I have adjusted winner, we always have these 100 desire points. Okay, everybody gets 100 of these desire points. They're not a tangible thing as far as money goes, but they're something. So an adjusted winner is always between two people. So we have Ms. Watson, we have Mr. Smith. Now, it always has to be between two people. And like I said, this is an inheritance thing, but this has nothing to do with money. This is, okay, well, Ms. Watson, she really wants the condo. So she says that the condo is going to be 45 points of her desire points that she's divvying up among them. And whereas Mr. Smith has been pretty general. He's like, yeah, well, I'm okay with any of it. But how we do this is we go through the process and say, all right, well, Miss Watson has a higher desire point, so she gets the condo in Florida. The family restaurant business goes to Mr. Smith. Coin collection goes to Mr. Smith. The 1965 Ford Mustang Fastback goes to Mr. Smith. And the family homestead goes to Miss Watson. So Miss Watson gets the real estate, probably the better investment. But hey, you never know. Coin collections, they're a tricky one. But what we do once we get here is we add these numbers up. So 45 and 85, or 45 and 35, that gives me 80. And then 20, 20, and 20, that gives me 60. First step, you got to ask yourself, can I move whole pieces to make the desire points the same or closer to being the same? Now, the only restriction is, since Ms. Watson was the initial winner, you can't move points over and then make her essentially the loser. She can't have more than equal to Mr. Smith. Or, I'm sorry, she can't have less than equal to Mr. Smith. So if I move this 35, it drops this down to 45, and it drops this up to 80. So that can't happen. I move the 45, drops to 35, and then once again moves up to 80. So now you see that Miss Watson would then become the loser of this. So that can't happen. So now we have to take a look at desire points and say, okay, well, which one has the smallest point ratio? So we say, okay, well, 45 divided by 20. If we just take your calculator out, you don't really need to do anything. And we say, okay, well, that's 2.25. And then 35 divided by 20 is 1.75. We see that the family homestead is the smaller point ratio. So this guy is going to say, okay, well, you get to keep some percentage of that homestead. And then, Mr. Smith, you're going to end up with whatever's left of that percentage. So 1 minus that percentage. 1 being 100, and then obviously X is going to be a number between 0 and 1. So it's going to be a decimal. So we set it up by saying 45 plus 35X is equal 20, 20, and 20. So 20, 20, and 20. And then we add in this 20, 1 minus X. Okay? Once we get here, it's just basic everyday algebra. 20, 20, and 20 makes 60. I'm going to be distributing here and here. Okay? So when I do that, I end up with 45 plus 35X is equal to, now 20 times 1 is 20. Added to 60 gives me 80. 20 minus X gives me minus 20X. And then I have essentially, well, not essentially, it's an equation with variables on both sides. There's always that saying that says letters on the left, numbers on the right. I don't care about that, simply because this is an equivalent statement. It's saying that it's the same whether you read it left to right or right to left. What I like to do is move the smaller number to the bigger one. That way X is always positive. I think that a positive X always makes things a little bit easier. So the negative 20 is smaller than 35, so we're going to move the 20 over. So we add 20X to both sides. And we end up with 55X. Okay? Now we also have to subtract 45 from 80. We subtract 45 from 80, we're going to end up with 35. divide both sides by 55, and x equals 7/11. So how do you break the family homestead into 7/11? You could say, well, you get to stay in the house every 7 out of 11 days. However, chances are once they get there, probably what's going to happen is someone's going to buy the other person out. For example, if the family homestead were to be a $200,000 home, then Mr. Smith's share is the remaining 4/11, so he gets 4/11 of the house, and Miss Watson gets 7/11 of the house. So you could just say, well, if I take 200,000 and I divide it by 11, and then I multiply it by 4, that's going to give me 72,727. So 72,727.27. That is what the financial equivalent of the family homestead would be. It gets a little murky there, but then what you're going to do is you're going to have to check it. So you take 7/11 or 7/11ths and you plug it in here and you plug it in here. And when you do that, you should end up with 66 on both sides. And that's how you would do adjusted winner. So they both didn't end up with 100% of their desire points, but they both ended up with 66. So 66% of what they thought was their what they wanted. That's not bad. It's fair. Is it what you were hoping for? Maybe not, but in all intents and purposes, it's a fair division. So I hope this was helpful. The next one we'll show you is the sealed bids. Thank you so much.